Hello, and welcome to Sudoku Topology, puzzle J5. I see. Okay, so this is similar to the one we just did, but fancier, because we're now on, I don't know, something like a truncated octahedron or something. There is a name for this. I don't remember what it is. But actually, if you go back and look at the previous video, it had a very similar construction, and I really liked that one, so I'm optimistic that I will also like this one. So we have our usual strings of Renban, of a string of consecutive digits in any order. Note, this puzzle has the digits all the way up to 8. So we have a lot of digits to choose from, and we also have a lot of clues. So let's see. So the boxes here, are they all circles? Yes, I think they are all circles that cross the grid in various ways. Yes. Okay. So at least here, I think we have all the elements that I like to see in one of these puzzles, which is that I can keep in my head what the regions are, and there's Renban, and I can understand the 3D shape. Okay, so we also have a singular white dot, which says that those two things are consecutive. Okay, we should also keep in mind that this circle, I'm sure that's one of the regions, but I'm going to double check just to be sure. Better safe than sorry. Oh, sorry, I'm hitting the Renban now is why this is not working. Yes, this region. Everything here is on a Renban, which means in particular, there's a 1 in this row somewhere, and an 8, which means that 2 of these Renban are extreme. I know one of them has to be 1, 2, 3, and one of them has to be 6, 7, 8. Now, this 7 at least crisscrosses this Renban. So this Renban doesn't have a 7 on it, so it doesn't have an 8 on it either. So I can do some excessive pencil marking. That this is that. And likewise, this Renban doesn't have a 2 on it, so it can't have a 1 on it either. So we get from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this also can't be a 1 or a 2 because it's on a white dot. And so if it was a 1, it would need to be with a 2. So this is also from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have that. So that means the 1 in this universe is over here somewhere. Let's see. Now, unfortunately, I don't think anything is ruled off of this, at least not immediately, because the 7 is only in 2 regions, and we have sort of looked at those 2. Now, I do know the 2 tips of these Renban that are opposite each other. This was sort of the theme of the previous puzzle. These 2 see the entire other Renban. So there's a limit to how many digits can be in common between those. Okay, I'll also note that if this digit shows up on this Renban, then it's that digit. Otherwise, it kind of extends this Renban, if you will. Yeah, man, it really feels like where they're trying to force 1 over here somewhere, but the 1 could just hide there, which is horrible. And like the way the 7 looks at this but only sees those 2 and not that cell suggests that something is going on, but I don't know what yet. Let's see. Are there any other regions that are entirely bathed in Renban? I don't think so, but I'm going to just go through them one at a time anyway. Okay, so Ah, this one isn't, but it almost is. So one of these Renban, at least, is extreme as well, because I can only put 1, 1, or 8 here, for example. Oh, sorry, I'm again hitting the Renban. Okay, that's the one we noted. Okay, and that same is true here, actually. That I have at least 1, 1, or 8 on one of these 3 Renban, so one of them is extreme. 5 and 6. Okay, and so the others... This one, actually, the same thing is true, although one of these Renban has length 2. So that is somewhat interesting as well. I'm trying to decide if I can say anything coherent about the sum, or about the collection of these 8 digits, which I know is 1 through 8, and these 4 digits. But it seems to me like I could have, say, 2 1s in there. I don't think that that is impossible. It could be, but I don't think that it is. Okay, so maybe I should ask, where is the 1 along here? Because it can only go in one of those spots. And if it doesn't go there, then it's on a Renban that's going to need a 2 that's going to go in one of those places. And so one of those would be a 1-3 pair. Which seems fine, as far as I can tell. And we've got something similar, like if either of these Renban has a 7, then one of those 2 digits is a 7. Some complicated, like, parity or mod 3 stuff we could try and make sense of. The parity is a little harder with the length 3 Renban, because the length 3 Renban could have 2 odds and an even, or 2 evens and an odd, but they all have one number that's a multiple of 3, one that's 1 more than a multiple of 3, and one that's 2 more than a multiple of 3. And so one could attempt to make sense of coloring those. So maybe that actually is a smart thing to do at the bottom here. Because if I look at these 8 cells, I know are the digits 1 through 8. So we're short 1 multiple of 3. If you like, because there's only 3 and 6 are the only multiples of 3. And so when I go down here, and I get to a total of 4 sets of those digits, I need to have 2 of these be multiples of 3. That is kind of interesting. So it's 2 multiples of 3 and then 1 whatever. I wonder if I'm supposed to ask, like, where the multiples of 3 could go. So I have to be sure that I don't rule all the multiples of 3 off of any of these Renban. And there's only 2 of them, which are 3 and 6. And so basically every Renban has to have a 3 or a 6 on it, except for the length 2 one. So I have to be very careful about how I geometrically organize this to make sure that that happens. But I wonder if the point is going to be that this can't have a 3/6 on it, because that would tell you at least a decent chunk about what it was. But it doesn't feel likely to me, but let's see. Okay, so maybe I should try and see how many boxes does it take to get all of the Renban together. So I could certainly take this box, and then add in yeah, I'm trying to... So how many 3/6s are on these Renban, I guess is the question. And the answer is 5 3/6s are on these Renban. How many 5/6s are there in the puzzle? Okay, well, there's 6 boxes, which each contain 8 digits, and each digit is part of 2 regions. So I think that means there's 3 of each digit in the puzzle, in order to make that work. Yeah, so if you look at it this way, this is one set of the digits 1 through 8. This is another set of the digits 1 through 8, and then the top 4 and the bottom 4 must therefore be one set of the digits 1 through 8. And so that it is true, every digit shows up 3 times. And in particular, one consequence of that is that 2 and 7 do not show up in these cells, because I just convinced you, I hope, that we have sort of a bonus region here that looks like that. I'll mark it just so that I remember it for the moment. Okay. So, I think that also tells me that I can't put a 1 or an 8 down here, because between all of these cells on these 4 Renban, I only get 1 7, and that 1 7 has to go with the 1 8 in this row. I can't add an extra 8 without adding an extra 7, and the same is true about adding an extra 1, so that's not 8 and that's not 1. Same is true of 2 and 1, actually. So actually, this region actually gives me that... Okay, so there we go. So these are a 3, 4, 5, 6 quadruple, is the point. Because for the same reason, I can't put an extra 1 down here without putting an extra 2 down here, and I can't. And so that means that in yellow, these are a 1 8 pair. Okay, and so do I know which one this is? No, but funnily enough, I know either that's a 2 or that's a 7, which is a bizarre thing to know. Okay, and I know that this digit also, that one's directly connected. Oh, that's the one I know. I see. I looked over here. I should have looked here. The 7 sees this cell, and that cell more importantly. So this can't be an 8. This is a 1, and that's a 2. And so that is an 8. And these are a 6, 7, and they have to go in that order. Okay, so this cell is not a 6, 7. If you like. Okay, and these 2 aren't 6, owing to that placed 6. So one of these 2 is 6, for what it's worth. Okay, so neither of these cells is 1. Neither of these cells is 1. So one of these is the 1, 2, 3. And it's not this one either, because this one, if this one was the 1, 2, 3, it would need to have both 1 and 2 there, because 1 and 2 see both of these cells. So the one that's a 1, 2, 3, we actually know which one it is. It's this one, right? Yeah, because the 1, 2 pair just kills either of these being it, and the 2 being knocked off of this one completely kills that one. So it's this one that is the 1, 2, 3, and so the bottom there is a 3. So these are a 1, 2 pair. And so I can knock the 1 and 2 out of here. I can knock the 3 out of there, and there, and there. Okay, and I might be able to do a similar thing with 7, 8. 7, 8. Certainly neither of these is the 7, 8 one. Maybe I don't... the 7 doesn't quite see everything over there, so I don't think I can quite immediately do that, at least. Okay. The other 1, 2 in this thing with the 7, 8 is assuredly over here, because I don't have anywhere else I can put it. This isn't a 3 or a 6. It's the other 4, 5. And so this is a 4, 5 pair, and so this is a 3 or a 6, just to keep that going. Oh, this 1, 2. Ah, yes, this 1, 2 sees the 2, so it's a 1. I was briefly concerned I just put a random pencil mark in the grid, as I have been doing sometimes recently in these videos, but I don't think that's what happened there. I think I put an actual pencil mark that had actual meaning. I do know this isn't an 8, because it sees that 8. It's not a 7. Oops. Did I... Yeah. Okay, so this is not an 8. That's what I was trying to do. And it's not a 7, because it sees both of them. Okay, and so this one definitely doesn't have an 8 on it, is the point of that, because if it had an 8, then these would need to have a 7 in them. This cell I know isn't a 4 or a 5, because this also sees that 4 and 5, so this cell is getting dangerously close to being a naked single, because it's not a 1 or a 2. It could be a 3. It's not a 4 or a 5. And it could be a 6, but it can't be a 7. And it could maybe be an 8. So that's a little gnarly, because let's see. If it were an 8, that would need to be the 7. Which seems okay to me, at first blush anyway. Let's see. This row is only missing the sort of middling digits and 8. So 3, 4, 5, and 8 is what is missing from that row. Trying to see if there's any other cells that see the 4, 5 pair, but I don't think there are. I could be wrong. Yeah, I know one of those 2 is 6. I know one of these 2 is 6, because the bottom row has a 6, and so therefore that is not 6. For what it's worth. So there's either a 4 on here, or it's exactly 8, 7. That being 8, 7 doesn't work. Because if this is a 7, then we can't put an 8 anywhere, because we at some point ruled 8 off of this, and we just didn't update it, because it wasn't really our focus. But this can't have the 7, because remember, there's only one 7 in this bottom chunk of the grid, and that that 7 is with the 8. So that's not a 7. And so if that's not a 7, that's not an 8. And so that means that we do have a 4 in one of these two cells, which means that we don't have a 4 in either of these two cells, which by our bonus yellow region means that's a 4. So that's a 5. So neither of these things is 5. Is there any way to make a Renban out of this combination of numbers that does not include a 5? No, because this number is at least 5, and this number is less than 5, so there needs to be a 5 on this Renban somewhere, and by Sudoku it can only go there, so that's the 5 and that's the 6. So 6 and 3 are too far apart, so that's the 8 and that's the 7. So let's see. Okay, now we're gonna have to do some careful updating of pencil marks. Let's see. Okay, so this region has a 5 now, so that's not 5. So these are a 3-4 pair. And so that 3-4 pair looks around the circle at this cell, which now can't be a 3 or a 4, so it's a 5 or an 8. Oh, and it's not 5 either. So this is an 8. Sometimes I hit the button and nothing happens, and then I get confused. Okay, so this isn't an 8 either. It's not a 4 either, now looking at this. Oh, this isn't a 6, so that's a 3, which makes that a 5. This 3 looks around here and makes that a 4. And the 3 looks further around and makes that a 6. And now this is looked at by a 3 and a 5, so that's a 4. So that's a 3. There we go. Another lovely puzzle. I like that sort of pair of puzzles was a nice little story. Like some of the stuff you learned in the previous puzzle was useful here. But very clean and very nice overall. Plus, the grid is very pretty, which, well, has not been true of all of the grids. But the way the clues are laid out in this grid is just very, very nice. So I greatly appreciated that one. Those two are two of my favorites. But I think that's all for today. If you want to catch the previous one because you missed it, remember there's a playlist of all the Zeta Math Sudoku Topology videos, so you can see all my faults and foibles as well as my great celebratory successes. This one I count as a success. Some of them I do not, but I'm sure I'll hear all about it in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.